So you're talking about what the Dems have been willing to do. We know that there were a few sort of photo op / stunts, of the national Democratic leadership. Nancy Pelosi, while she hasn't necessarily supported some of the legal reforms that you're looking for, has organized certain photo ops. So when I saw that a few weeks ago, I was curious what your reaction was. I mean, she is, after all, the leader of the Democrats in the House, the body that the Dems control and could theoretically lead the way for a federal response to these protests. What do you make of her leadership so far?
Just complete failures of leadership. I wouldn't say she theoretically could support. She is constitutionally charged with the duty of representing we the people of the United States. And we've made our demands inescapably clear, and she continues to defend the right wing and enable it. And she does it while always, this is her pattern, appearances of solidarity, while unfortunately undermining progressive issues and interests in fact. And that is the pattern of her representation of this city. This very proud city. I live in the most progressive city in the country. We are proudly committed to immigrant rights, and we have a figure in Washington who funded Trump's concentration camps. We're proudly committed to human rights, and we have a voice in Washington who continues to cover up CIA torture. We're a city committed to worker rights, and we're represented in Washington by someone who until very recently opposed worker rights. I'm grateful for the chance to have pushed Pelosi into showing up for worker rights and the Protective Right to Organize Act, which she hadn't. Since the bill was introduced until just a few months ago. Mm-hmm. And on each of these issues, and policing in particular, I see Pelosi privileging photo ops, stunts, acts of theater over acts of governance. And to the millions of Americans who've taken to the streets to defend the lives of our Black neighbors, we're over it. We're not here for theater. We're not here for photo ops. And frankly, the photo op that she engaged in, kneeling in the House wearing African royal garb, it was offensive for so many reasons. One, because she won't show up for the movement's policies. Two, because she's appropriating another culture. Three, because the cultural nature of the appropriation is basically garbing themselves in royalty. And we have an anti-nobility clause in our Constitution. And if Nancy Pelosi really wanted to support the movement, she could finally embrace the End Racial Profiling Act. She's been in Congress for 30 years. That bill has been proposed for 20. If she was sincere, she would have backed it at any point in the last decade. I've been fighting for that bill since before the Obama administration, and I watched it hit the congressional cutting room floor under the Obama administration. Nancy Pelosi's never shown up for civil rights, not just in the context of policing, but really any other issue too. Gay rights come to mind. There was just a decision by the Supreme Court this week, historically expanding the rights, particularly of trans Americans, to be free from workplace discrimination. I was fighting for the rights of LGBTQ communities to form their own families for 10 years before Nancy Pelosi showed up to support the rights of my gay neighbors. And civil rights are just not an issue for her. She gets dragged to civil rights struggles recalcitrantly because her primary interest, and this is demonstrated by her voting record, is protecting her corporate donors. Yeah. And she's been in office because she's never debated anyone, and I'm eager to offer the contrast that will give San Franciscan voters the opportunity to see the choices before us in November. And I'm looking forward to that debate.
And if someone watching this wants to find out more about your background, some of the issues you're pushing for, where can they get more information about your campaign?
Would love to invite people to check out our campaign website. We're online at www.shahidforchange.us. We're also on all of the major social media platforms, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Shahid for Change.
Shahid Buttar, thank you again so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, John.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.